Hello and welcome to StarMade. I'm going to enter this ship core and show you that this has shootout rails and beacons that are slightly blinding. So I'm just going to turn this one off real fast so you can see there's kind of a divider here, but there's rails going almost up to it. This is the left side, so it's got red running lights. The other side's got green running lights, and this is going to be a cargo transport, and you might have noticed there's something down there. Anyhow, this is the design I've decided I will continue on and work on. And so basically on the top and bottom on the rear, there will be engines. There will also be a jump drive system in there. I'm not sure exactly how I will lay that out just yet, but that's essentially what it'll be. There's rails, like I said, on each side, and it's got this weird, I'm going to call it the I-beam because it looks like an I-beam. As you can see up here, we've got a cockpit. Obviously it's not finished at all yet. This is kind of very early work in progress, but basically I was working on the other design down there that I'll show you in a minute, and I decided that it was going to be very difficult to fill out and work around the shape of it and make the inside good. So I kind of decided I would, maybe I'll come back to it another time, I don't know, but I decided I would try something different, and this is the something different. As you can see down here, we have a USD compatible dock at the front and a little Plex door, so there'll be a way to get in here. There'll be a very narrow staircase to get up to the top through the middle section, and so basically there's a way in right here, and you can go up to up here, and there'll be like a cockpit, and then there'll either be like a tiny living quarters there, or down here, or some combination of the two, like a little med bay, a toilet, some beds, whatever. Just a very small interior in the front here, and then the middle here will be full of systems, and the back and the bottom and the top, both, you know, full of systems. And there'll be a logic system to turn on and off the beacons, and turn on and off / blink the running lights. Also, it's going to use these standard cargo pods that I designed down here. There's actually a model I'll link to in the description that allows you to take a look at a 3D model of these on the web using a website called Sketchfab, which is pretty cool. If you haven't heard of it before, it's a pretty awesome website. But in any case, StarMade allows you to export models to Sketchfab, and that is what I did. In any case, what was I going to say about this? Words and things. Essentially, like I said, it's not complete at all, but I'm thinking I'll probably put some turrets on it. One on the bottom near the front here, one on the back, and then same thing on the top. It's a very symmetrical design. The only differences are minor in the front bottom having this extra bit where the docking system will be, on the top having well, actually, it's the same basic shape. This is actually the original shape. It just has glass in it, obviously. And the engines, as you can see, they have a little bit of an extension here on the top and more visible thruster on the back. And basically, these cargo pods, you'll be able to fit 4 of them with a tiny gap in the middle along the side here. So that tiny gap where the beacon is where there'll be a gap, and the pods will go along there. So each one of those pods has 10K storage. So you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll have 8K storage on this ship. It's a little bit less than this one. This one has 11K storage because there's 8, 9, 10, 11 pods. And yeah, no wait, so that's 110K storage rather, and this one is 80K storage. But this ship is a bit smaller, and I feel like maybe a bit better, especially because it has a reasonable place to put turrets and has a nice clean system to it. The downside to this one that the other one doesn't have is that you will not be able to go inside the cargo pods while they're docked to this from the ship. You'd have to leave the ship and then go into the pods. But I decided... And by that I mean I decided I don't really care that much. In any case, the pod design basically has minimal systems on it. In fact, it has a little thing telling you about it right here. Recommended rotational thrust 5%, front wireless module for the running lights, and rear wireless module for the beacon. It has a beacon on the top. These are off right now, but you can see there's one there. It has universal docking without interior access on the roof. On the bottom, it just has a regular dock. On the left of each of them, they have a docking rail and a rail docker rather, and they have a rail on the right of each of them. And so the idea is that you can stack these in multiple configurations and dock them in multiple configurations and use them that way. Inside, they have the wireless modules on the bottom here. They have a little interior access, and they have a little gap in the storage right here so that you can reach up to the faction module and core. They have a tiny bit of shielding. There's the cargo space, obviously, and then there's the wireless modules. so that you can hook up their running lights into your ship's running lights, which is what I'm going to do when I finish setting up that one. In any case, we have a long rail along the top here. These are intended to all be docked along that long rail on the top, which of course has a shootout back here, so you can ditch all of the pods at once if you want to. Same concept here. I'm going to do the same kind of concept there. Right now, these are actually all docked. The pods are actually docked to each other because they have universal dockers on the front and back. So these are actually all docked to each other, and the front one is docked here. I accidentally made this much smoother than I meant to. Like, well, not than I meant to, but it ended up being smoother. But as you can see, the interior of this ship, you don't have a lot of space to work with because this needs to be kept open so that you can access going into each pod, and same thing in the center down here and on the other side, obviously. And there's the core. We had a little bit of a beginning of a nice bridge, but I hadn't really gone that far. I had a little interior space here. This hole in the roof is temporary to get in, and there's not much space here. I was thinking of making this, like some crew quarters or something. But see, the main thing about all of this design is that there's not really enough space to put components in here and hide them away. There's interior. There's no actual system space. And then the other big issue is that, like thrusters, there's no thrusters on the back other than on the pods, and that's kind of ridiculous. So that's why I was like, okay, I need to come up with something completely different from this design, because as much as I love the idea of a rail on the top and everything connected that way, I needed something different, and hence the I-beam design, which basically my core idea was that I wanted the ship to wrap around the pods a little bit. I like that idea, but I wanted as little ship for as much pod. So I figured, okay, a thin rail down the middle with pods on each side. Okay, so that gave me this thin rail bit. And then I was like, okay, so the top will curve around the pod slightly at the top, the bottom will curve around slightly on the bottom, and then I just kind of built a basic thing just big enough to house 4 of them on each side. I'm sorry I'm yawning so much. I honestly don't know why. I'm not that tired, but I just got the yawns. And it just so happened that the way it worked out, it had this very smooth I-beam shape to it, and I was like, well, those are where the engine pods will be. Okay, we need a cockpit. Oh, I'll just make that on the top. Okay, we need a docker somewhere, and I'm like, oh wait, we got an extra spot right here. So it just kind of all worked out, and like I said, I need to finish the interior and get it working and do fancy things with it, but this is how it is right now. And thanks for watching, and as always, I will see you in space.